6 o'clock, please. I have no East Avalon Joint Council, but Holly sent out that information, but they're still in New York. Aye.
All right, everyone ready to get started? We're good? Pardon? And just in case you want to speak to it, do you want it moved? We can move it. Sure. We just moved to the side, I think. Thank you, Kim.
You need to move that back then when somebody speaks.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order for December 2nd. All right, let's get started. New business. Councillor Gland.
Just a quick thanks.
Councillor Pollard.
Pass.
Okay. Councillor Thorngoss.
Thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you.
Martin, where are you? And I have a thank you as well. All right. And would anyone like to be added to the first Q&A? Not seen anyone? All right. I'll call for a motion to adopt the minutes, please.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, carried. All right. Now, if I can ask you guys to have a look at the minutes from the last meeting and advise if there's any errors or omissions. And if there aren't any, a motion to adopt, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Carried. Oh, done. All right, proclamations, presentations, question and answers. No one for the Q&As. We don't have any proclamations or presentations. So we'll get right into the mayor's report. The mayor has asked me to extend a thank you for years of service to our deputy clerk and PICO for 10 years of service, and Public Works employee Lisa Lewis for 7 years. So we'd like to thank them as a council for their years of service and looking forward to their continued employment with the town. We really appreciate what our staff do. They work hard. They really do. They earn every dollar they make. I'd also like to, for the mayor's report, just for the mayor in his absence, to thank everybody who came out. The tree lighting was fabulous. It went really well at the new community center. Thank you to everyone who participated in that. Also, the breakfast with Santa, I missed that one. I was out hanging up the side of my house putting up Christmas decorations this year with my kids. But thank you to everyone who came out and put that together, and thank you to staff who always do a fabulous job at these things. And thank you to everyone who participated in the Torbay Christmas Parade. It was a lot of fun. It always is every year. And there's a lot of people who come out to see it and a lot of floats and people who participate. So thank you for that. Moving on. Oh, before we do, birthdays. Gotta love birthdays. So the birthdays for the month of December for the town of Torbay, our very own Sandy Parsons has a birthday on the 4th. Tracy Allen's birthday is on the 10th. Don Chaplin is on the 11th. Bob Hussey is on the 12th, and Bud Tapper is on the 17th. So happy birthday to everyone from all of us as well. All right, moving on to the business arising report. Anyone have any questions in there? No? Moving on. Correspondence. We have correspondence from a resident concerning the Rogers proposal for the town. I think we should defer that to the T committee to have a look at that. Planning and T, Councillor Martin, could you help coordinate that, please?
Yes, okay, yeah.
Thank you. There was no committee of the whole. Planning and Land Use Development, Councillor Martin, can I ask you to take it away?
Thank you. Thank you. Committee met on November 27th. Myself, Councillor Thorne-Goss, and Director Winter attended. We discussed several items. The first one was a Crown Land referral, as well as a letter from a property owner on Darrow Drive and a letter from a property owner in the South Pond watershed. We also discussed some information on Dog Wells. It's something that I brought forward at a previous meeting. Director Winter had some information that was provided by Municipal Affairs and Environment in retrospect to Dog Wells. There was some information, brochures that we already have existing and some that we're uploading to the town's website. And we'll also have the information circulated via social media. There's also an update in there about the cell phone antenna proposal from one of the communication companies. Just a background, there is one of the large telecoms requesting access to several different sites throughout the town to extend service. So there was some concerns from committee as well as the public with regards to any potential health risk. So Director Winter is currently following up with Industry Canada, Health Canada, and we're also going to have our Environment Advisory Committee do some research as well. And we also have an update where we are in transition from directors. CAO is going to be the staff resource on an interim basis for the Environment Advisory Committee, and we're going to sit down and meet with them over the coming weeks. There's also some correspondence regarding a tree house on Pine Line and a fence construction in Thomas Gardens. Moving on. Various correspondence and enclosed. Applications approved. November 29th, the following applications were approved subject to normal conditions and requirements for building within the town of Torbay. Application C 2019-126, a portion of 1418 Gallus Cove Road, subdivide land and single-family dwelling. Application C 2019-127, 7 Mayflower Drive, which is an accessory building. Application C 2019-128, 15 Motion View Close, which is a single-family dwelling. Application BR 2019-032, 1359 Torbay Road, which is a beauty salon. And so ends my report.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Any questions, comments? No? Okay. Administration and Finance. Over to you, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Worship. Did you read out the applications? Did I understand what I had to sleep?
Applications approved. Yeah.
Did you? Sorry, I guess I was asleep. I digress. We met on the 26th of November, myself and Deputy Mayor Appleby, acting Worship for this evening. There are a number of items that were discussed there. I'm not going to go on through all of them. I just want to highlight a couple. First is the council training session. I think we're still trying to nail down a time for that. It looks like it'll be sometime this Sunday. Right now, I think it's tentatively scheduled for 6 o'clock. I could be wrong, or 4 o'clock.
4 to 6.
Other things around the same time. Sorry.
4 to 6, I
4
think.
to 6.
4 to 6, yeah.
We discussed a number of things around the budget and some items that we are going to defer for further information. We did have a request for proposals out for the asset management project in terms of the infrastructure, tangible asset location, mapping and condition assessment. And we're going to withdraw that or make a motion to withdraw for the reason that we are going to try to use, we had no funding earmarked for that. That would have been strictly out of our cash, shall we say, or direct out of revenue. And we're going to try to rearrange that so that it comes out of the gas tax money once we make that decision later down. So there'll be some aid in helping us reach our budget goals at the end of the day. So there's a motion here that Town Clerk Bay cancel the request for proposals entitled Asset Management, Infrastructure / Tangible Asset Location, Mapping and Condition Assessment. So moved.
Second.
I'm just wondering how that ended up with finance, because that would have come through planning and development or public works for asset management.
We talked about tightening up process, and so there would be a recommendation from committees, and then it would all go through finance to make sure it was in budget or outside budget or funding.
Yeah, I know, but that still, though, we were looking at having that, we've already had that recommendation to come through, proposal. So I just don't see the finance committee, they're fine to make a recommendation to cancel it, but without speaking with the committee that recommended it seems a little bit not proper protocol.
Okay, I'll acknowledge that. Is that going to change what the
I know,
outcome is?
but
Well,
I think for in
and
future.
I apologize if it came back that way, but I guess in my mind, I always look at asset management being a finance function. Not that it necessarily came that way, just that it ended up, I guess, in budget discussions and the use of $100,000, whatever it was, and knowing that it is asset management related, and that is always not necessarily a challenge, but is always necessary for us to try to find things that we can spend our asset management money on, and this is a coverable or eligible expenditure under that funding. We just thought that'd be better put.
I have no problem with that, but I think if this is a precedent being set, then I think that it needs to come back to the proper committee, because I don't see if it's something that hadn't been done that way, and then for it automatically, yes, asset management. And with regards to the proposal going through, I think that in the future, that these should at least be discussed with the director of that particular area, because asset management here, that would have been with the director of public works and but it never came back to the committee, is what I'm saying.
It's the same process we're taking with all the expenditure because of previous comments made in council meetings about spending within budget, over budget, outside of budget, so tightening processes.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, that never came back for discussion, and at no point in time was the intention to give full control over everything. That would basically mean that anything that the various departments or the committees would be making come forward, it could all be shut down when it comes back to finance. And I would assume for most cases that if we're making a recommendation and it comes back from the directors, that they already know what's in the budget, at least it would be given some consideration and not just to be decided. And I agree what's there, but with regards to the process that this was, I came back and I was kind of surprised to see it. And we make lots of comments about different things, but actually putting it in place is another thing. But I know where you're coming from, but at the same time, we need to make sure that the proper discussions are taking place and that we're all aware of what's happening, because it makes us look like don't know what's going on.
That's a fair point, and it's a new process, and we can certainly make a recommendation that the communication protocols around how we're going to do this are reviewed and discussed at committee of the whole, and then we can come back. But I'd like to get back to the motion that we have here. Does anyone else have another comment on this motion?
I got a comment on that whole commentary itself. I guess overall, the motion itself, I guess we can deal with the. I'm not in disagreement with the fact that I know we did have a lot of discussion around the finances and things should come back to in finance for that final approval. I'm not the person who necessarily agrees with that, although I am chair of the finance committee. I do think that it needs to be done in conjunction with all the other committees as well in terms of finding out what is financially feasible, what is not, and that the decisions certainly can rest with other committees. If not, it gives the finance committee say more control than is absolutely necessary in certain environments. But we certainly need to discuss that committee as a whole and determine exactly how we move forward with motions of this type. And I certainly wouldn't take that back and look, and I apologize to Councillor Thorngoss if we took it outside of the books.
I think that for the time being, on that point, we're going to refer it back to committee of the whole and have a discussion on how we do our business. I'd like to get back to the motion that's on the floor, though. Is there any other comment about the motion that we'd like to have right now before I call the question? Councillor Glant?
Yes, thank you for acknowledgement there, Madam Chair. Communication protocols and all that kind of stuff aside, I was under, I guess a couple of quick questions first. So this was a budgeted item, was it not? So this was a budgeted item. And it was my understanding that the asset management plan was actually a big part of what we were trying to do in the town. That I was under the impression this was a critical type of program to make sure that we really get a handle on our aging infrastructure. And you know, we've been talking about some time. I thought this was one of our major initiatives. Again, tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought this was even part of our strategic goals type of thing. I thought this is one of our major, most important things that we need to do. So I'm concerned about canceling the tender to actually get something done that we said we were going to do and we're trying to do. I understand if we think it's better to get underneath the gas tax versus something else, but I don't see. Is it valuable to cancel this to put it under a different pot of money? I mean, it all comes from the same place, you know, to a certain degree, right? Like, it's
Sorry.
yeah, no, I just, you know what I mean, though. Like, if we use the gas tax for this, then something would use the gas tax to something else we're not going to have to do. You know, you're going to pass the buck down the money pot type of thing. But I was under the impression this was one of our tier 1 type of goals that we were trying to accomplish, and this is a major part of the work plan of our staff and everything like that. That's so I'm surprised that it was that would be like that. And if this is, you know, if we really feel like this is important enough to, if the benefits outweigh the delay and all that, I just don't want to see us not to do something that's been budgeted and we're all kind of rowing in the same direction on to pull back the tender to kind of play move the money, you know, which pot it comes from type of thing. I just don't want to see any delays in this actually getting done or any actually impact to what we're trying to accomplish. So I don't know if you have any comment on that.
I certainly do. And let me rephrase that. It's the cancelling of this particular tender. It doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to spend the money related to asset management. Asset management is still probably one of the primary goals of the town and where we should be going at the end of the day. There's also parts of this here that need to be considered in terms of what the actual outcome of this RFP would be. You take mapping and condition assessment and asset location. That can be done by hiring engineering students during the summer and getting into actually physically identify with a piece of GIS equipment where our assets are and what type of condition they're in as well. So I think it's a whole different approach to things. We're also in the process of hiring a replacement for our director of planning and a person with some GIS background as well, which is going to probably have a fresh look at the whole way we're currently doing the whole asset management side of things. Nowhere does it ever mean that we're not going to go ahead with this, because I'm, number one, a strong proponent of asset management and everything that we do in that. So we're certainly not overlooking just reducing or taking this actual dollar value out of this at the present time to look at better ways to spend $100,000.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Councillor Thorngoss, you've already spoken.
I never
Councillor
spoke to the actual, now
Councillor
that we're moving
Thorngoss, I would ask you to respect the chair, and I'm going to have Councillor Martin speak
to it.
now. Thank you.
Here we go.
I just wanted to. I just wanted to say that I'm going to support the motion. You know, it is, asset management is something we certainly need to be assessing, but as we are currently going through our budget process and preparing for 2020, some alternatives, like Councillor Pollard just mentioned, with regards to credentials from a replacement for our Public Works Director. I think if we look at some of those avenues, look at cost-saving measures, I think that'd be a very proactive move. I do appreciate it's a very important review to have with our asset management, but I will support the motion as it stands.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Martin. Are there any other comments in addition that pertain to this motion that have not been raised yet?
We asked the director.
Can I move
thinks
to?
about this.
I'd just like to move to extend the debate to give Councillor Thorngoss a chance to respond a second time.
Second.
Councillor Thorngass, do you have something else
Yeah, we
to
gotta
add to this?
Call the question for the
We're
motion.
suspending our time for debate, right?
Okay, call the question. All in
Aye.
favor? Okay, Councillor Thorngass?
Seeing that I only spoke to where this came from and that it never came back from the proper committee, and now I'm as the chair of this committee, I do not know when this is going to go forward, what any of the deadlines that are around it, and when, or is this somehow connected to the proposal that we had from LMO? And I also heard some of the comments that Councillor Pollard made, and I don't even know with hiring these different staff if that's even something that falls on the parameters of what the director is doing. So we're talking about this, and I have no idea, in looking from the director, if this is in fact, and it's something that's been discussed at the Public Works and Corporate Services, at the Public Works Committee, and I'm say that while I'm in agreement with it, I'm not sure that we didn't ask for an update and what the deadlines and when this is actually now going to go out, and it is something critical for us. I thought that this was already done. But is this new staff that we're hiring, Brian, will they actually be able to take on some of this work and do what this RFP was intended to do?
If you're referring to the building control officer who look for GIS experience with, I don't think that's gonna be part of their job description, in my mind. This is something that would be assigned that. But as Councilor Pallard said, he's only councilor for now as such for a change of pot of money, is the way I sort of look at it. Because this is very important, and asset management is not all about finance. Asset management, if anything, is more planning and public works, and finance is the other side of it.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do,
It's just about money, I mean, as long as it gets done, is the main thing.
right now, the motion that is on the table is to cancel the RFP that's going out to roll this out. And the question should be called on the motion. We've discussed it. Everyone's had an opportunity to speak. If there's nothing new on this motion, I'm going to call the question and ask, do you support the motion that's on the floor? So at this point, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Those opposed? All right. Motion carried. All right. Back to you, Councillor Pollard.
Okay, so I guess just in continuing on with the report, we discussed some other issues too. One was around the accounts receivable tax recovery plan, which we had submitted and is a requirement in our gas tax agreement. We're going to try to follow up on that a little more tightly and collect some of the outstanding dollars. Hopefully that'll help us in terms of getting some of the additional cash into our coffers so that we can have some money to spend there on that side of things as well. Not saying that we don't have it, just a matter of needs a little more focus and cutting into some of the older outstanding taxes. We still discuss the next steps regarding budget, and sometime tomorrow or the next day we're expecting the next budget draft to be submitted to at least the committee for initial review and then on the council, and then follow up with a discussion as to when we want to meet again to discuss it in further, because there are some decisions that have to be made out of it. So. With that, I just lost my page number. Sure, please. Thanks. On the human resource side of things, I'd like to extend congratulations to Brian Winter, who has now accepted the role of Director of Public Works, and wish him all the best in that area. And maybe he won't be commenting on planning things for a little while longer, put me on the spot while I'm standing there. The Director of Corporate Services has accepted, so Jacqueline Kudla has actually started here as of yesterday, and she will spend some time with the CAO to come up to speed on our financial operations, and hopefully we'll see the benefit of her being in place sooner than later. Youth and Service Seniors Coordinator, Kirk Comlin has accepted the offer of employment, and Kirk commenced his role on the 26th of November, and once again we also extend our congratulations to Kirk, and certainly look forward to working with him over the coming years. On the heavy equipment side of things, the snow clearing schedule is set in place for December 9th. Hopefully we won't have any snow before that, but if we do, we'll certainly get out. We already had some waste in that, so that's been taken care of. And there was interviews done for the 2 seasonal positions. The development control officer position closed on the 29th, and I guess we're in the process now of reviewing those positions with the small GIS component associated with that as well. Payroll for the period November 14th to the 27th for 39 employees, total $76,438.59. Accounts payable for the period November 9th to the 22nd, total $105,272.77. There are 3 invoices for approval, 1 operating and 2 capital. The receiver general remittances, payroll deductions for November 1st to the 15th in the amount of $21,032.75. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There are 3 capital invoices listed on your list, but we're going to hold the last one for the holdback claim for town hall renovations and make sure we're all in agreement that the renovations are done to satisfaction, and if we need to hold back any of that holdback, we certainly will. Anyway, there's 2 other invoices there. One is construction signs for a mobile feedback speed sign in the amount of $12,937.50, and that's under the speed calming budget, pedestrian safety budget for 2019. Eastern Contract Limited is the final progress billing for the town hall renovations in the amount of $7,517.40 for a total of $20,454.90. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, sorry, I didn't ask for any questions. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I think that ends my report, George. We're staying a little longer than I had expected, but all good.
Any other questions or comments on the finance and administration report? Anyone? Okay. Moving on to economic development and tourism, Councillor Martin.
Okay, I wasn't at the meeting, so I'll try my best. Economic development meeting was held on November 21st. Deputy Mayor Appleby was the chair. I was at another meeting, so in my absence, Mayor Scott attended. And Ms. Deanne Lawrence was our Economic Development Tourism Officer. Some items that were discussed were review of committee minutes, and there's an action item there based on direction from committee administration to purchase memberships for both NOIA and NATI. There's some new business here as well. A COA and TCI discussion. Committee discussed opportunity for a COA and TCI to attend committee meeting. Administration will follow up with both a COA and TCI. The Modern Transportation Committee updates. A meeting was held in September to discuss transportation solutions, as well as a presentation on the use cost and efficiency of electric vehicles. Regional receptor working groups. There's a meeting held to discuss that. And there's another meeting on December 11th. Regional wayfinding workshop group update. There's no update available at the time. RANLAB, Regional Demographics Collaborative. Committee discussed the project outcomes that the project will provide to the town of Torbay. And as well, the Economic Development Strategic Plan Committee did discuss at that time the next steps for professional review and updates to existing economic development strat plans, funding and procurement opportunities. Some additional comments made as well concerning to the high school enterprise program and discussion around a potential youth entrepreneur fair market. Some standing items are not inclusive, but they are noted here. The Transportation Committee, the Wayfinding Initiative, Business Registration, Directory Shop Local, RANLAB, Northeast Avalon Tourism Visitor Appeal, Pico Ridge Manning Project, Regional Receptor, Memberships for Destination St. John's, EDAC, EDNL, Community Profile, History House and Museum RFP, Community Market Beach Project, Strat Plans, and Economic Development. And the meeting was adjourned at 7:28, so ends the report.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Nope. Okay, moving on. Infrastructure and Public Works, Councillor Thorngass.
We had our meeting on November 28th, Councillor Pollard, and CAO. We mentioned earlier about the transition for the Director of Infrastructure and Public Works, will be looking after planning and development in the interim. Resident survey on the recycling. We now have the tentative schedule for December 12th to get Paula Lancaster, who coordinated it at our fair. Traffic signal, we had a lengthy discussion around the traffic signal that the fire department had presented and some of the issues that are there regarding that light. And this is some information that we'll need to look at for sure in the budget 2020. We talked about having a tour of the Pooch Cove Water Treatment Facility. Snow clearing would start on December 1st. And we were planning to have a meeting and even have the commissioners come into a meeting to look at the schedule process for 2019 and 2020. Multi-purpose building, the top portion of that building now is available for rentals, and I'm assuming that that has gone out to the public. Smoke testing, that has been completed, and we're waiting for feedback. I don't know if there's anything after coming back on that CAO, that an update from Biomex, or
The report is expected this week.
okay, so it'll be for our next meeting. We had a site visit and looked at Shays Lane and the issues over there, the intersection of Country Drive and Hickey's Place. And we need to follow up with the engineers, especially there at the end, because there could be some major impact there if the plow comes by and pushes those pylons back. And even if it's a portion of what we need to look at. I know that that's part of the stormwater management plan, but it's more of on an emergency basis at this point in time. CATS, we had at the Committee of the Whole budget meeting, the CAO is going to look at contacting feral felines and probably partnering with them for some of the issues. And we really haven't heard anything about feral cats throughout the community, but that's as an opportunity. The gas tax agreement, asset management, was interesting that we talked about this was discussed at our committee, and that we were going to make recommendations back to Committee of the Whole and on what we were going to spend some of our tax funding on. And our meeting took place on November 28th, and it was interesting that the Finance Committee meeting took place on the 26th, and that it never came up as for information purposes. To be notified about the change. Resident issues, playgrounds. We looked at the motion drive, and if there's, I guess, playground equipment that's not working properly, we talked about having it actually removed from the premises, from the playground, and that we're going to go back and look at the upper three-corner pond park master plan. And washouts on Torbay Road. We had a lengthy discussion on this one. Because of the different issues along the main road and some of the feedback that we're getting with regards to sidewalks, the immediate concern right now is the washouts that are along the side of the main road. And this is something that the Department of Highways, Transportation are responsible for. And we are going to have a follow-up. We talked about having it with the minister, the ADM, and whoever we can get into a meeting. Our new director is going to look at pulling all of this together. At no time in the past have we looked at working with the provincial government and having a meeting of having some of those issues discussed and bringing in our MHA if need be to look at where we can go to get this resolved, because we cannot, as a town, leave the conditions that are currently along on the sides of the roads in their current state, and it's not our responsibility. And even if we were to look at paving that, and we need this work done immediately. Sidewalk equipment, we looked at having costs done on the current, on Man's Lane where we have the sidewalk. We need to get an estimate on the equipment necessary to clear those sidewalks. And it's no point, after hearing some feedback back to me with regards to putting the wing off the grader down. That's not doing justice to the sidewalk, and the expectation is there that they should be plowed and salted. And we need to have this information even to be able to move on when the time comes to look at paving or putting in sidewalks. We've been identified that some of the civic addresses, and there was an emergency apparently in the town about a month ago, and when they gave the particular address, it doesn't exist, and it depends on which phone you're into. So some of either the iPhone, I think, that probably doesn't have the proper maps downloaded, and there's some confusion, we know for sure, in Mannings Hill and Country Drive. There was an issue where there was an ambulance called, and the ambulance bypassed the resident who was waiting for it. History House, the Christmas lights, they were installed. I think that they look beautiful from the other night when we had the Christmas lights put on. And we still have that there is an issue at Spray Lane that we need to discuss with Planning, Land and Use Development Committee. And that was it. It was a good meeting, and look forward to the next one to get some updates on how we're making out with our meetings with the provincial government. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thorngass. Any questions, comments? Councillor Martin?
Thanks. I just want to make a comment. I'm glad to hear the report, the movement on the sidewalks. I know many comments going around over the past year or two with regards to the sidewalks. You know, is it the province's responsibility, the town's responsibility? Neither party are in a great financial circumstance to do them, but you know, you can't put a price on safety. They're both the province's and the town's residents, so that kind of debuts in my opinion who owns them. But I think, you know, some of the things Councillor Thorngass did note, and I guess Councillor Pollard was part of that committee, with regards to the equipment being purchased for the sidewalks. I think that is part of the bigger picture that we need to look at when we do sit down for a budget meeting and take sidewalks into discussion. Because I think we do need sidewalks. The roads are in poor condition throughout the town. So before, when we sit down to invest this money, I think it's also important that we assess the sidewalk equipment aspect of it, because I don't feel that it would be adequate to have a wing of existing equipment clean off the sidewalks, because I don't think it would be adequate for safe use. So I know we did recently turn down a tender from Juniper Ridge to the community centre, and I just want to reflect on that this was a part of my reasoning to defer that tender. I think we definitely need sidewalks to enhance safety in our town, but we also need to make sure that we can do it right, and we have the proper equipment to maintain them when we sit down to plan it out, so we get it completed and not half done. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Would anyone else like to speak to the report?
Yeah, just a couple quick, comments. Item number 10. You sure do have a lot of points on your agendas, by the way. So I don't know how you guys get through your committee meetings with so much on your plate. But anyway, just item number 10 on your minutes here, the gas tax. I'd be interested to hear what you had to what we were proposing for the gas tax going forward. And you were saying, but where we just talked about the I guess the asset management thing with the gas tax, just I'm hopeful that when you guys sit down and work it out together, we just cancel the tender. We can just reissue that tender anytime we want. So even if it ends up gas tax not being the proper place, then maybe it could come from somewhere else. But I'm just looking forward to that whole big discussion. And I guess number 13, with regards to the sidewalk equipment, I agree we need sidewalks, absolutely. I'm interested in finding out how much these sidewalk equipment will cost. And I know that right now we've only got a very small number of sidewalks. And if we're going to be investing in this lots of money into the sidewalk equipment to actually go clear them and stuff like that, I certainly hope we have enough to justify, because I think we do need the sidewalks, we do need the special equipment. We might need to do the wing blade stuff just to kind of get through while we only have that half kilometer worth of sidewalks or whatnot. And I know we're all here saying how much we love sidewalks and want them. Hopefully we all get the votes next time to get it done.
Agree.
Councillor Pollard?
Thanks, Your Worship. I was going to reserve comment on it, but seeing as mentioned twice now, I got to follow up on it. Gas tax agreement, asset management. I think we all already discussed the importance of where it is and how we need to move forward. And there's a lot of time spent on us recalling or cancelling the RFP at the present time. I will say to Councillor Thorngoss, we did talk about it at committee. The discussion around it was, yes, we were going to bring back to committee of a whole more recommendations on how we're going to spend our gas tax money, but I had definitely thought that we had talked about the cancellation of that tender and the fact that $100,000 can be used out of that and not really severely impact the amount of money we have left in the gas tax. To Councillor Glantz, comment, I guess we did bring forward already roads that have been approved by council for approximately $600,000, $700,000 worth of the gas tax money of the $2.1 million is allocated over the 5 years. I think it's important to note too, when we talk about sidewalks are assets, and as part of the asset management plan, it's a whole function of what it costs to install, what it costs to maintain, what it costs to replace, and how that factors into the overall finances of the town moving forward. So I think while we're all talking about this, that, and the other thing, the asset management is the key prime operator that we need in town to actually determine how we should proceed with our capital acquisitions, our capital repairs and maintenance over the longer term, and how we should tax and how we should put aside money for reserves to make sure that we don't burden taxpayers unnecessarily with tax dollars up and down over a short period of time. Rather, we look at the long term and figure out how we're going to be 10 years from now and how we're going to get there in a planned, orderly fashion. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Just on a final comment on the report, I'm really happy to know that you guys are working so hard on all of these things, but the conversation with the province about the roads and sidewalks and the immediate concerns about the washouts, I think our first point of contact really needs to be our MHA and to get him involved in coordinating that process. So I'd like to request that committee and staff engage him in that when we roll out those meetings, so we can have a talk with him and make sure he's involved in that process. Okay? And you may already be doing that, but I just want to make sure that we don't forget to do that. Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, moving on. Recreation and Community Services. There's an update here. Councillor Glant.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. We actually didn't have an official committee meeting last week. We had Councillor Roach calling sick at the last minute. We didn't have time to appropriate a substitute, but did discuss with the director and asked her just to provide council with an update. And we actually do have a motion here that I'll just raise straight from the floor. Well, basically the update is that the town of Logan Bay, Millicove, Outercove is looking for a letter of support for the 2020 Killick Coast Games from July 26th to August 1st, 2020. And we also have a legal opinion on the rental facility agreement form, and that's in the works. So that'll come back for the next committee meeting. But regarding the motion, I'd like to move that the town of Troy Bay support the town of Logan Bay, Millicove, Outercove to host the 2020 Killick Coast Regional Games, July 26th to August 1st, 2020. So moved.
Second.
Comments, questions?
Love the Killick Coast Games. Rock on.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so concludes my update.
Thank you, Councillor Gallant. Okay. Moving on to Liaison Committees, Atlantic Mayors Congress. Nothing with that, Don? No. Intergovernmental Affairs, again, nothing there. Jackburn Regional Sports Entertainment Center, nothing to bring forward there. Northeast Avalon Joint Council, Councillor
We're
Thorngass.
supposed to have our next meeting on Wednesday evening. I'm not sure if it's confirmed as a go yet or not,
Okay.
but that's been the first one we've had in a long time, since May, actually.
Okay, thank you. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Councillor Martin.
Thank you. November 11th minutes are enclosed. Fire department were busy this weekend. They had most of their fleet, as you know, Deputy Mayor, in the parade, and a lot of their members were out. It's nice how much they contribute. When they were done with us, Torbay, then they head down to Flat Rock for their parade, so I'm sure they're all nice and cold afterwards. And they also stopped, I've seen various members stop by the community centre last Thursday night for the tree lighting ceremony. It was different. I don't know if it's a good different or bad different, because I'm used to the nostalgia of the fire hall, but certainly nice and warm down there. And as Councillor Gallant said there at our Christmas party, we didn't exceed the fire capacity in the fire department this year, so it was nice to see everyone out, and they have their Christmas banquet coming up soon, so it'll be nice for them all to sit back and relax.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments on the meeting minutes for the fire department? No?
It's a great job, everybody. It's like, just to echo the sentiment that, especially this time of year, we get the team gets out and does a little bit extra for the community. They do more than just fight fires, and it's really great community support over there. So it's fantastic.
Thank you. All right, and there was no UMC meeting. Don't have any notices of motions. All right, do we want to do the question and answer first? Yes, before we do new business? First, and then Q&A. Okay. All right, new business. Councillor Gallant.
Well, I just wanted to again just do my bi-weekly thanks, and I'd just like to thank everybody for. I know myself and my family did enjoy the tree lighting. That was a great time. My little 5-year-old thought that was the best thing ever. Her favorite thing actually was actually the bus ride. That was the funniest thing. She actually wanted to go back on the bus and just drive around. Right? She doesn't get to take the bus normally, so. Anyway, it was a great time, and I just really want to thank all the staff for the Christmas party. We had a great time on Friday, and it was a great, safe time. Everyone had a good time. Everyone got home safe and good, clean fun, and we all got to do a bit of camaraderie and share a nice meal and have a drink of water or two, and it was fantastic. So just really good for the morale and Christmas spirit and all that kind of stuff. And so Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right, Councillor Pollard passed. Councillor Thorngass.
Just want to say a big thank you for the staff and volunteers in the community that help with the tree lighting, the breakfast with Santa, and the parade. It was really good to see the fact that we ended up with a nice day, but so many young and old people or older people involved in it, and I think that's a big thing about Christmas. You realize that it's just around the corner when the parade goes through. I also like to thank those that showed up for the presentation that we had on where we're going with the our water in the future and what's after taking place when we talk about having our water. It's the word that I'm looking for. Water treatment. Thank you. Yes, it went on for much longer than we had anticipated, which was really good to see that we had a lot of questions, and that it was an update that is being long overdue. So the only concern with is that I've heard from the residents, and I have to apologize to anyone who never got the opportunity to go to attend, that they felt that it hadn't been scheduled and it hadn't been communicated for a long period of time so that they could have made previous arrangements to be in attendance. Other than that, That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Thorncross. Councillor Martin.
I also want to say thank you to all the staff and organisers and participants in the tree lighting ceremony and breakfast with Santa, as well as the parade yesterday. I know it's quite a bit of effort, especially putting the floats yesterday. And also thanks to Rich and Teach, pardon me, for the presentation from Wood last week and everyone that attended. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. And I would like to echo your thank yous to the staff and the volunteers and the people who participated in the events this weekend. I'd like to thank my fellow councillors tonight. We work long, hard hours with our staff to do work for the community. And some of us are up early in the morning and we're here sometimes late at night to, especially now with the budget season upon us. And there's an awful lot of time that we take from our families to do the work that we do. And we volunteer to do this. We're happy to do it, don't get me wrong. But everyone's time is important. And we do have some contentious discussions around these things. But we're all here to do the best that we can for the community. So thank you to all of you for all that you do. And I'd like to echo that to the staff too, because the staff are our main support who are here to help us and make sure that we're able to do this job well. I'd also like to thank, if I could, just for a quick minute, some of the volunteers that we have with, of course, the Soccer Association, because I chair that association. They do a lot of good work, and we had a fabulous float at the parade, and thank you to the people who did that. But the Minor Hockey Association, I was at St. Bon's at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning with volunteers who were there and parents with their children. And these guys are coordinating scheduled games and practices, looking for ice time all around the Northeast Avalon for our children. And these parents and coaches are getting up and out of bed, sometimes for 6 and 7 a.m. practices. And it's really important because when you get there and you see the kids and how happy they are and how excited they are about what they're doing, it's really important. So thank you to the people who give up their Saturday and Sunday mornings to do that. It's very important. All right, over to the question and answer session. Anyone have a question? Robbie?
I'd like to ask a question about under correspondence on the first page.
Sure.
I'm assuming that's my correspondence that it refers to.
It is.
I apologize to all of you because I should have made it clear what that was about. The Environment Advisory Committee has been asked to look into issues of 5G technology, other cell technology. And so this correspondence comes out of that. And I don't think I made it clear that it came as a member of the advisory committee. So I'd like to clarify that. I haven't had any other information yet, but as it comes to me from other members of the committee, I will certainly pass it on. Thanks.
Thank you. Does anyone else, I can't speak. Does anyone else have questions or comments? Madeline?
A couple of questions. One of the items, or the first item in the PLUD minutes, refers to a Crown Land referral. And I was just wondering, I noticed that in there. I guess it's only a referral right at this point in time, because I did notice that they talk about the possibility of a sod farm. That's a little bit more, I guess, a bigger issue than just growing hay and a family garden. So I'm assuming that if that were ever to come forward, nothing could go forward or started until it came back to the council. Is that right?
You're correct.
Yeah. The other question I had was clarification of an item in the, I think it was could have been Public Works or Recreation, I can't remember. It talked about an item called Community Center Storage. What is that about?
That conversation has been around the need for additional storage at the community center. It's come to council's attention that there needs to be storage that's available for gasoline, snow blowers, that sort of a thing. So we've had an initial preliminary discussion right now about concerns that have been raised about that and strategies to address that. There is no recommendation come forward at this time on that, Madeline, because the discussion started on that, when was that, Tina, last week? Committee of the whole meeting? We had started that? Yeah. So the recommendation, it has come back to council's attention, and right now we are looking at, we did discuss this at the finance meeting, and we said to staff, go back and have another look at this and then come back to us with something tighter on how we're going to roll this out and address it. So we're waiting right now at a committee level to hear back from staff on the needs and what's happening there, and then we'll see where to from there for recommendation for council.
So you're saying that the center we have there now doesn't have enough storage space? The $11 million center we have? That didn't make allowance for storage?
Combustible materials.
Yeah. The concern, sorry, Madeline, with that the fire department were in, and there were conversations about chemicals and combustibles that are there. And then they looked at the need for some of the other things, like the snow blower and the gasoline, and a potential situation where things could go wrong. And when it came to our attention, because the fire department were in and they noticed this, then staff came back and notified council, and now we're looking at, okay, how do we resolve this issue? And it wasn't something that we were aware of when the community center was approved, or throughout the project. It hasn't been something that we were as council aware of, but it was brought to our attention when we had the committee of the whole meeting to discuss the budget last week, and we've asked staff. It came to our finance committee meeting, and we've asked staff to go back and have a look, because we want more information to understand exactly what the situation is, so we can figure out next steps to address the situation. But that's where it is right now. We're waiting on information.
So it sounds like it's something due to design, not necessarily due to the contractors we had doing the work. It's not them who forgot anything. It's with the initial design of the building?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming and participating, and thank you, meeting. The next public council meeting is scheduled to take place on Monday, December 16th at 2019, 6:30 p.m. here in the council chamber. My understanding is that we are also planning to have the first presentation of the budget for review on December 9th here next week. So communication will be out about that. That's my understanding. Has there any change been to that? No. Okay. So just to let you know, there will be a public. My understanding. Yeah, we've got it out there saying that there's going to be a meeting on December 9th for the first pass of the budget. So we'll look forward to seeing you here for that. All right, a motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.